First, why is control needed? So every day we have threat. And because of threat, we're going to have loss. And we call this potential loss exposure or impact of the threat. And also we're going to estimate the probability of the threat. And this is the likelihood. So we can estimate estimated loss, right? That is exposure multiplied by the likelihood. That is the estimated loss. Alright, so nobody wants loss. Then we have the accounting information system, and then we're going to increase the control to minimize the loss. So the primary objective of accounting information system is to control the organization so the organization can achieve its objectives. And management expect accountant to take a proactive approach to eliminating system threats, to detect, correct, and recover from threats when threats occur. So this is the primary objective of AIS. So we're going to achieve those primary objectives through internal controls. So internal control is a process implemented by the board of directors, management, and those under their direction. Basically, internal control provides reasonable assurance that certain control objectives are achieved. Right? So these are the control objectives. Okay? For example, safeguarding assets, right? Maintaining sufficient records. So you can go through these to see what are those objectives internal controls try to achieve. There's three functions of internal controls. We have preventive controls, which is to detect problems from occurring. And then we have detective controls. So we're going to discover problems that are not prevented. And the third one is corrective controls, which is to identify and correct problems once they occur. Internal controls can also be separated into two categories. One is general control. This is refers to the environment controls. For example, the IT infrastructure. The other control is application controls, which deal with the transaction errors and fraud in application programs. And many people feel there's a basic conflict between creativity and controls. So basically they think more controls is going to kill creativity. 4 levels of control is used to help companies to reconcile this conflict. So we need 4 levels: concise belief systems. Basically, you're going to communicate company's core value to employees. Then the boundary systems sets a limit on employee behaviors. So everyone knows their limits. And we have a diagnostic control system measures companies' progress. Then an interactive control systems helps top-level managers with high-level activities that demand frequent and regular attention. Now we talk about regulations. Existing regulations are internal controls. Now we have the Foreign Corrupt Practices Act, 1977. Now, this required corporations to maintain good system of internal controls. Well, the main objective of this act is to prevent U.S. companies from bribing a foreign government, but also it strengthens the internal control of U.S. companies. Then 2002, after the financial collapse of the technology bubbles, we have this Sarbanes-Oxley Act. Okay, this is a major change in the regulation of internal controls. First, PCAOB is set up, right? Which is a Public Company Accounting Oversight Board. It's a 5-member board appointed by SEC. And PCAOB, what is this? Delete. PCAOB sets and overviews auditing standards. Okay, basically it handles all auditing related regulations. Based on the Sarbanes-Oxley, there are new rules for auditors, audit committees, and management. Right, basically auditors must report specific information to the company's audit committees, okay, such as critical accounting policies, practices, and alternative gap treatment, and audit management disagreement. And the company's auditors are now prohibited from providing other non-auditing services, such as basically a lot of our tax services, okay, and consulting services. No, they cannot do that. All right, and for the audit committees, the rule says now all the audit committees must be independent now, okay? And also for the management, the rule requires the CEO and the CFO to certify the financial statements and disclosures are fairly presented, are reviewed by the management, and are not misleading. Okay, then if anything goes wrong, later on, the CEO and CFOs are personally responsible for companies' reporting. Okay, they have no excuse to say, okay, I don't know about that reporting. I don't know about that wrongdoing. Okay, because they have certified now, they will take the responsibility. And there's a new internal control requirement in section 404, okay, which mandates company to adopt a recognized control framework and also disclose any internal control weakness. Therefore, ever since the Sarbanes-Oxley, the control framework is becoming a really hot topic since then. Okay, to see more Sarbanes-Oxley information, you can click this link and read additional information. Right. Now let's talk about the control frameworks. So we're going to talk about COBIC, COSO, and COSO ERM. These are coexisting control frameworks, and they are sort of related. Okay, so I'm going to talk about that. Right, we're going to first talk about COBIC, which is a framework for IT controls. Then we're going to talk about COSO, which is a framework for enterprise internal controls. Then talk about COSO ERM, which is relates to COSO, but it expands COSO framework and it takes a risk-based approach. Okay, we're going to see these pretty soon. So first, let's talk about COBIT. So COBIT is control objectives for information and related technology. So it's a IT-related controls. This is developed by the Information System Audit and Control Association, ACCT. Okay, there's a link to their organization. So what COBIT is? COBIT is a comprehensive framework for assisting enterprises in achieving their objectives for the governance and the management of enterprise IT. Okay, so it's very important. So it's for the governance and the management of enterprise IT. The other framework, COSO, does not directly provide guidance on IT controls. So that's a major difference between the COBIT and COSO. And then the COBIT framework makes a clear distinction between governance and management. And for the governance, it's for the board of directors. So what board of directors will do? They're going to ensure that shareholders' needs, conditions, and options are evaluated to determine the balanced, agreed-on enterprise objectives to be achieved. Right? Set the directions and also monitor performance. Then on the management side, basically plan and build and run and monitor activities in alignment with direction set by the board. And also provide feedback. Okay, so these two parts are doing their own job. And COBIT also defines the component to be built and sustain a governance systems, and defines the design factors and addresses governance issues, and then aimed at the whole enterprise. Okay, the COBIT is aimed at the whole enterprise, not talking about COBIT just for the IT department. No, it's for the whole enterprise. What COBIT is not, okay, it's important to know what COBIT is not. COBIT is not a full description of the whole IT environment of an enterprise. So COBIT is a framework for internal control. Okay, now we're not going to talk about the hardware for IT department, right? How those systems are set up or are operated. We're not going to talk about these. COBIT is not a framework to organize business process. Okay? No, it does not address anything about business process. Okay? It's a framework for internal control. It's not an IT framework to manage all technology. And it does not make or prescribe any IT-related decisions. Okay, for example, it will not decide what the best IT strategy is, right? What is the best architecture is, or how much IT can or should cost. Okay, rather COBIT defines all the components that describe which decisions should be taken and how and by whom they should be taken. So in other words, we set up a dictionary, or you can say dictionary, or a handbook, and from there, people is going to make decisions. What is the best strategy, right? How much cost is the best for the companies? All right, so with COBIT, it allows the management to benchmark the security and control practices of information technology environments. And users of IT service now can be assured that adequate securities and control exist. Then auditors, can substantiate their opinions on internal controls and to advise on information technology securities and control matters. The current version of COBIT is version 2019. And the previous version is COBIT 5. And before that, COBIT 4. Okay, so COBIT has been there for many years. Alright, so let's talk about the COBIT. The COBIT framework. First, there are two sets of principles. We have 3 principles for a governance framework that can be used to build a governance systems for the enterprise. So I will talk about the separation of governance and management. And we also have the 6 core requirements of our governance systems for enterprise information and technology. Right? So first we need to build a governance systems based on these 3 principles. Right? One is we're going to base on conceptual models, second, open and flexible, and third, aligned to major standards. Okay, those are the basic principles. We're going to build the governance system, the framework. So once we build the governance systems with this framework, okay, we can apply these to our enterprise IT system, and based on these principles, right? For example, provide shareholder value, holistic approach, dynamic governance systems, governance distinct from management and tailored to enterprise needs, and then end-to-end governance systems. Okay, so we're going to talk about these in a few slides. So how COBIT is organized, the COBIT overview. The COBIT 2019 is based on COBIT 5 and other authoritative sources. Okay, COBIT 5 plus any other standards, framework regulations. In the future, there will be community contributions, but for now, it's not there. Okay, so together that becomes a COBIT 2019. The COBIT core. This is a reference model of governance and management objectives. Okay, so we're going to review these objectives pretty soon. So these objectives become the core of COBIT. Okay, to use these objectives, apply these objectives to the governance of IT, we need to consider a bunch of design factors. Basically, the company strategy, skills, and the size, other things. And also consider the focus area. Okay, then we're going to get a tailored enterprise governance systems for IT. Okay, right, so we're going to talk about these. First, COBIT core. So for IT to contribute to enterprise goals, a number of governance and management objectives should be achieved. So governance objectives right here are grouped in the we call the evaluate, direct, and monitor domain, or EDM domain. Okay, so we have a bunch of detailed objectives. Then for the management objectives, it is grouped in 4 domains: APO, BAI, DSS, and MEA, which stand for APO is align, plan, and organize, and BAI is build, acquire, and implement, DSS is deliver, service, and support, and MEA is monitor, evaluate, and assess. Okay, and also we have a detailed objectives listed in those domains. Then each objective relates to one process. Okay, so because we have so many objectives, we have a lot of process. Basically, we have 5 governance process and 35 management processes. Okay, and a series of related components. Okay, here we list basically the 5 governance process and 35 management process. So together we have 40 processes in COBIC 2019. So with all these objectives and processes, things are not done yet because each enterprise needs to establish, tailor, and sustain governance systems built from a number of components. Okay, we need to consider. So we have the processes, but that's not enough. Okay, we also need to consider organizational structures, right? Principal policies, information, culture, ethic, behaviors, the people, and service infrastructure and applications. All these will contribute to the governance system. Okay, so the process is just part of it. Okay, then we're going to talk about focus area. A focus area describes a certain governance topic, domain, and issue that can be addressed by a collection of governance and management objectives and their components. For example, the focus area could be small and medium enterprises. Okay, then we need to adopt a different or tailor those processes. Or the focus could be on cybersecurity, or it could be digital transformation or cloud computing. So we're going to tailor those processes. A new focus area can be added as required into this COBIC framework. And also we need to consider design factors. Design factors are factors can influence the design of an enterprise governance systems. And here we list a few COBIC design factors, right? Including enterprise strategies, goals, risk, right? And many others. You can read through it. Alright, so we know the COBIC core, we know the focus area, we know the design factors. And let's talk about how we're going to get to the tailored governance of IT. So we're going to talk about the goal cascade. We're going to everything start from the shareholder needs. Okay? So shareholder needs have to be transformed into an enterprise's actionable strategy. So the goal cascade supports this prioritization of management objectives. So we're going to turn the shareholder needs, okay, to enterprise goals through a matching tables. In other words, the stakeholders' drives and needs can be achieved through these following goals: financials, customer, internal, and the growth goals. These are enterprise goals. Okay, these enterprise goals, then in this framework, we also need to cascade to alignment goals. These are IT-related goals. So what should IT achieve in order to support those enterprise goals? Okay, then from the alignment goals, we're going to cascade to what we need to have, the governance and the management objectives. Okay, in order to achieve those IT goals, what kind of governance and management objectives we should have. And this is what the COBIT is about. Okay, we're going to have these IT governance. Examples. An enterprise has defined for itself a number of strategic goals, okay? So of which improving customer satisfaction is the most important one. So this is what the enterprise goals is. So from there, it wants to know where it needs to improve in all things related to IT. Okay? So that's we want to know the IT goals. The enterprise decides that setting customer satisfaction as a key priority is equivalent to raising the priority of the following enterprise goals. Then the enterprise now takes the next step in the goal cascade, analyzing which IT-related goals, okay, correspond to those enterprise goals from the following matching table. Okay, so in this matching table, we have the enterprise goals listed, and right here we have the IT goals listed. This is alignment tables. So this is going to map the enterprise goals to related IT goals. So based on the table, this alignment is going to give a priority to these IT goals. For example, alignment of IT and business strategies, right? Managed IT-related business risks, and these are what we find from the matching tables. All right, because the IT goals, the list is quite long. Okay, so we studied, we validated the list, and decided to retain the first 4 goals as a matter of priority. Okay. So in the next step in the cascade, these IT goals are mapped into the governance and management objectives. Okay, so we're going to map again. Then we find the process, the APO12, managed risk, is the most important objective we have. Okay, from the matching table. Then we're going to check what is APO12. It's integrate the management of IT related enterprise risk with overall enterprise risk management and balance the cost and benefits of managing IT related enterprise risk. Right, so this is a process we need. Okay, but the IT-related process alone is not enough. Other components of the governance systems, such as culture, behavior, and ethics, right, organizational structures, or skills and enterprise are equally important. Alright, so with APO12 the process, okay, and together with other considerations, when this exercise is completed, okay, we're going to have a set of consistent goals that allows us to reach the strategic objectives, okay, and a set of associated metrics to measure our performance. And performance management is also part of the KOBIC framework. Basically, it includes concepts and methods such as capability levels and maturity levels. So KOBIC uses the term KOBIC Performance Management, CPM, to describe these activities. And this concept is an integral part of the KOBIC framework. Alright? And then finally, we're going to have the tailored governance systems. So we're going to consider design factors. Design factors can influence this equivalence and make some governance and management objectives more important than others. For example, we're going to focus on APO12, manage the risk. And some design factors can influence the importance of one or more components. For example, enterprise which operates in a highly regulated environment will attribute more importance to documented work, products, and policies, and procedures, and to some rules. And finally, we're going to talk about implementation of KOBIC, and this is a life circle approach.